This video is intended to provide important information regarding the problem of plagiarism, including what plagiarism is, how it often becomes an element in student papers, and how to avoid it. The most blatant form of plagiarism is intentional plagiarism. Intentional plagiarism is a deliberate use of intellectual property which is not your own as your own work. It is nothing less than intellectual theft and is one of the most serious offenses which can occur in academic life. Persons who are guilty of this kind of plagiarism incur the most severe kinds of punishment, including expulsion from a given academic institution. A far more common kind of plagiarism in our context is unintentional plagiarism, or the failure to document properly information gleaned from various resources. In many instances, students will properly document the use of information from a resource, yet still be guilty of plagiarism due to the wrong way such information is used. Direct quotation is a legitimate use of key information derived from research, but direct quotation should be used sparingly, typically only when there is a phrase or sentence which offers special insight which cannot be matched in a summary. In a normal research paper, direct quotation should occur no more than a handful of times. The best use of information derived from good resources is by means of content summary. However, this is also where the danger of plagiarism is present. Far too often, students tend to reproduce the information from a given resource far too closely by changing only a few words or by changing the order of clauses, leaving the content mostly unchanged. Those are classic examples of unintentional plagiarism. The researcher does not intend to deceive. In fact, the information is usually carefully footnoted. Nonetheless, when the wording is too close to the original, it is plagiarism. I have offered an example of a quote taken from the Genesis commentary written by Walter Brueggemann. I will use this quote to illustrate two of the common ways plagiarism can occur in a student paper. As I have noted, the common error is to change a few words from the source document, still footnoting the source. Nonetheless, that's an example of plagiarism. The other option is to reverse the clauses, using the wording much the same as came from the original resource. That is also an example of plagiarism. I'm offering two examples of that improper use of source material. If you refer back to the source document from Brueggemann, you will notice that a few words have been changed in example number 1, but the content remains essentially the same. Even when this material is footnoted properly, the wording is too close to the original to be acceptable. Example number 2 is even more egregious. In this instance, the phrases have been placed in a different order, but otherwise the wording is unchanged. A second example of plagiarism. The best way to avoid plagiarism is to do your research using what may be considered an old-fashioned method, taking notes on note cards. It may seem outdated, but even so, using note cards is one way to avoid using wording which is too close to the original. The key is to be sure to summarize the content from your source in the notes taken, not copy the information directly. If the note cards contain summaries, and you develop the body of your paper from the notes, it is far less likely that you will use wording which is improperly similar to that of the resource cited. This video does not resolve every issue that can lead to plagiarism, but it does highlight the key issues which I've observed in the student papers submitted to me over the past several years. Please give attention to these matters. Plagiarism is to be avoided at all costs. While the primary concern addressed by this video is plagiarism, The issue of documenting resources is another which needs some attention. The proper format for footnotes and bibliography entries can be challenging when biblical resources are used. Commentaries in particular offer special challenges. I have offered in this video examples of the key documentation problems and illustrations of how to use correct footnote and bibliography format. There are essentially two major kinds of biblical resources used in the research of biblical passages. The first is the freestanding commentary. The freestanding commentary should be treated as a normal monograph, even though some of them are part of a series of commentaries. Examples would be the Word Biblical Commentary, Interpretation, Hermeneia, the Continental Commentary, Westminster Bible Companion, Anchor Bible Commentary, and others of their ilk. Even though there are volumes within these series for every biblical book, the documentation should be of the single volume work. Notice the examples I have offered: Brueggemann's Commentary on Genesis from the Interpretation series, and the Thompson Commentary on Jeremiah from the New International Commentary on the Old Testament. The first listing you see is of footnote format for these two freestanding commentaries. Footnotes are listed by the first name of the author, with the title in italics, and publication information within parentheses, including, of course, the page number from which various information has been derived. The footnote format indents the first line. Once the full publication information has been provided in an initial footnote, any subsequent use of that particular resource may use simply the last name of the author and the page number from which various material has been derived. The second type of resource can be further subdivided, but the documentation will be very much the same. I refer to multi-volume biblical commentaries such as the New Interpreter's Bible and the Broadman Bible Commentary. In these instances, more than one biblical book tends to be treated in each volume of the commentary. Therefore, the commentary material on a given biblical book is treated much the same as an article in a Bible dictionary or encyclopedia. The name of the section on the biblical book should be listed within quotation marks, with the name of the commentary series as the title. Similarly, should you use an article from a Bible dictionary or encyclopedia, the article should be cited in quotation marks by its author, with the name of the dictionary or encyclopedia as the title. In the case of multi-volume commentaries and Bible dictionaries and encyclopedias, it is crucial to identify properly the author of the information cited. The one error to be avoided is using the name of an editor instead of the name of the author. While it is permissible to identify the editor, the author's name is the crucial identifier needed for both multi-volume commentary material and that derived from a Bible dictionary or encyclopedia. I have included in the final slide an example of how to list bibliography entries for the resources you have used. In this instance, you will notice that the bibliography entry is by the last name of the author, with the various resources used given alphabetically by the last name of the author. Unlike the footnote, bibliography entries should indent the second and any subsequent line, providing information about that particular resource. The change from the footnote format is that the place and publisher, as well as the publication date, will not be in parentheses in the bibliography entry. My hope is that this information will make the preparation of your research paper a bit simpler. Good luck to you.